This is either going to be the greatest league of all time or the worst league of all time, and there will be absolutely no in between. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video, and I found a very interesting 5.0 deck list that I want to play for the channel. Shout out to Joe Dyer, who writes awesome articles that often feature some spice. And also shout out to Matthew for giving me a dealer's choice donation deck list to make this league happen. Buckle up, it is about to get weird in here, as this is a Legacy Birthing Ritual deck. If you know Birthing Pod, this is similar. At the beginning of your end step, if you control a creature, look at the top 7 cards of your library, then you may sacrifice a creature. If you do, you may put a creature card with mana value X or less from among those cards onto the battlefield, where X is 1 plus the sacrificed creature's mana value. So, we are going to Shardless Agent into Birthing Ritual every single time. That is the plan. This does mean that we don't have a lot of cantrips and other early action, which means that we're running an entire playset of Hedge Maze, which is absolutely wild. We are running Ancient Tombs and City of Traders so that we can play things like Wood Elves on turn 2, which is an embarrassing card to be playing in Legacy, unless it just immediately turns itself into something like a Quantum Riddler. Now, there's a very neat interaction with that card here. So, you can play Quantum Riddler for its warp cost of 2 mana, draw a card, and then use Birthing Ritual to sacrifice it before it would go away for its warp cost. And then you can chain directly into some of the crazy top-end stuff that you are seeing over here, such as Commander Staple Consecrated Sphinx, Curator of Destinies, which is sort of a fact or fiction uncounterable Sphinx, Marang River Regent, which allows you to bounce other permanents, and Anticausal Vestige is something that I am looking forward to trying out in Commander at MagicCon Atlanta. It has a warp cost of 4, so you can do the same trick as with Quantum Riddler, but this time it's even better. When the creature leaves the battlefield, draw a card, then you may put a permanent card with mana value less than or equal to the number of lands you control from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. So there are going to be some high highs in this deck, where you get to go and use your Birthing Ritual to steal creatures from your opponents and then sacrifice them to the Birthing Ritual for fun and profit. And we have some very old school Legacy tech here as well. I haven't seen this Fairy Wizard in play in a few years, I think. The sideboard has some spice here. We have the ability to search our opponent's deck for their powerful creatures, such as Eldrazi. We have the ability to just say, I'm going to cast my big scary cards instead of trying to make Birthing Ritual work in our blue matchups. And we have a singleton Collector Oof, so if we are in an artifact matchup, we could board out our copies of Birthing Ritual and just play a Collector Oof deck where we have 5 effective copies of Collector Oof. So buckle up, this one is going to be wild one way or another. And if you decide you like it and you need some cards for it, please consider using my promo code ThrabenU to save yourself 5% on an order at toamagic.com. They're great. I use them myself. They support my content. Consider supporting them. Alright, let's battle. My opening hand has a lot of cool stuff. However, I have a single tropical island, and I don't think that that is going to do. Let's mulligan this one. And this is going to be a hand that just tries to play an Undermountain Adventurer on turn 3 and back it up with Force of Will, I think. I'll keep this and put the basic forest back into the deck. Chrome Mox is happening. That Entomb? Sure. This will be Metalcraft. And opponent just passes the turn. That's fine. 1 Force of Will may or may not be enough to stop whatever nonsense my opponent is doing over there. Shardless Agent gets me into a Birthing Ritual. Can't do that next turn despite being on 3 mana. I think I'll still keep it. I've only got 3 more Force of Wills in the deck, and those are going to be my primary ways of interacting with my opponent. That's gonna resolve. I will attempt to Force of Will whatever wheel effect ends up happening rather than trying to take out Bowmasters. Yes. That's a Fellmire. We'll Force of Will whatever this last card is. So that would be an Echo of Eons. Yeah, that's fine. I will let that resolve and then counter the Echo of Eons. I will go Force of Will, pitching the 7-drop. And now there's one fewer Echo in deck. I will take just a little bit of damage here. I am at 16, and I don't have a play for this turn, but then I can start doing some cool stuff. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I'm going to take 3 damage here. I believe that I play Shardless Agent first rather than Undermountain Adventurer since my opponent does have 2 creatures right now. It does cost me 2 more life. So down to 11. Cascade into a Birthing Ritual. And then we'll move to end step. So I could turn this into an Undermountain Adventurer immediately. I think with another one of these here, I am fine with doing that. So sack the Shardless Agent, get Undermountain Adventurer. I'm going to get a basic forest here. I don't care about giving my opponent a basic land. I honestly don't even know if they're going to have one. Ooh, Beseech the Mirror is a real good top deck. It is another Beseech the Mirror. Presumably Gaia's Will is the next card here. Yep. So my opponent can play out a couple pieces of artifact mana, and they'll have Metalcraft because of Lava Spur Boots. Then Dark Ritual goes on the stack. Then Beseech the Mirror. The storm count is 8, which is more than enough to be lethal already. That's unfortunate. We were certainly doing the thing. Oh, there's a Yield to All button now? Oh, but it doesn't work. Lol, 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 lol. Alright, I'm not clicking through that. Alright, Magic Online, you tried. 4 Force of Negation, 4 Endurance coming in. Collector Oof I can think about. Do I always want to be able to cascade into Collector Oof? Sure. So this means that a lot of this top end stuff should go, and I should just plan on hitting my opponent with 2/2s and 3/4s and whatnot. Get rid of Consecrated Sphinx. That seems dangerous in the Bowmaster world. We'll do something like this. My mana is going to be clunky if I'm trying to hardcast Endurance as a threat. This is fine. This gets a Collector Oof on turn 2 and has a Force of Negation. Let's surveil the Riddler. Nah, I think I'm looking for extra mana here. Alright, opponent just passes the turn. So then I will Shardless Agent and cascade into Collector Oof. I don't have a green card to pitch for Endurance, but I still have Force of Negation available. Alright, that's just good enough for a concession. I'll take that, and I don't think I am doing any play versus draw differences here. Okay, I am willing to keep a Force of Will hand here. I have a turn 2 Wood Elves into turn 3 Shardless Agent. And sometimes I can get Collector Oof on turn 2 if I find a Spirit Guide. Urza's Saga, sure. That's not overly threatening right now. I have 4 mana already. I kind of have a 5th mana. I'm going to say no to that island. Saga ticks up to 2. More other Saga appears. From Mox is fine. Chunking and Entomb. You've got it. I think I am fine with the utility that this provides. We'll get a Hedge Maze. Notably, Wood Elves does put it onto the battlefield. It could be untapped if that is relevant at some point later. So my opponent will make a first creature, and then we'll see whether or not they're trying to grind out this game via creatures or do combo stuff. LED. Feels like combo stuff. Dark Ritual is fine. Tomb is fine. It is a Hellkite. That is an activated ability. That is not a spell that I can counter. Thought we were looking at Echo, and I was wrong. I have a Force of Will. That might not be enough anymore. Mox Opal. LED. I will gain 5 life here. That's totally fine. We don't have the Birthing Rituals in the deck now. New Mox Opal. New LED. New Dark Ritual. Or other New Dark Ritual. That is an Echo of Eons, which is inconvenient because I can Force of Will that, but then my opponent can just cast it from graveyard. I will Force of Will it. This isn't actually going to fully accomplish what I want to accomplish. So, we're on another set of 7 cards. I do get another Force of Will. I Force of Will. I think it's very likely that I lose this one for not playing around Runehorn Hellkite. Sure. So there's another Echo. You got it? Okay. That's not nothing. The Duress does take that force, though. And then we'll see how much more my opponent can do. The storm count is 17. It doesn't take much. It's a construct token. I'm not dead with a storm of 17. We'll take it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. I have better lines at 8. I can sink into Stupor a token. I can attempt to block and cheat a Quantum Riddler in. I think I need to just sink into Stupor a token. It's possible that my opponent just vomits a few more artifacts into play, and the construct tokens are just lethal. So my opponent makes another one. These are going to be 7/7s. They're swinging for 14. I'm going to invalidate one of those with Sink into Stupor. Yep. So 2 9/9s. I will take out one of them. Take 8. Oh, my opponent has a Beseech. Even a Baby Tendrils is going to be enough to get over the line here. So there's another Beseech. And at this point, the Tendrils can just go to my face. I'll concede there. GG's. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com. If you want to see upcoming sets, if you want to understand commander brackets, or if you just want an awesome place to store all, and I mean all, of your deck lists, Moxfield is the place. You can organize all of your decks by folders, and you can even change the views. You like visual, they've got that. You like text, they've got that. Check out my Moxfield Pro Field if you want to see all, and I mean all, of the decks that I've been cooking up. Okay, we have the possibility of doing the Quantum Riddler Birthing Ritual thing, so I think I'm going to keep this hand. This is pretty close to doing something busted. I technically can Force of Will if I need to, it just gets weird. Because then I need to get to 4 mana to warp the Anticausal Vestige. I'm going to say no to that. I don't like playing initiative creatures in Legacy right now, because there's timelines where my opponent is just Reanimator and just gets to reanimate that on turn 1. And honestly, it's kind of horrifying. I'm going to go ahead and take that. We're going to go green and 1. We're going to put this Birthing Ritual out there right now. And then hopefully I just do something really fucking cool next turn. Birthing Ritual, notably not legendary. Expedition Map. I don't think I get to fight over that. I want to use this Riddler. I'm not to the 4 for this yet. So I will go green and blue, Quantum Riddler, draw a card. There's my blue thing to go with Force of Will. Now I'll go ahead and go to my end step. We want the Riddler trigger on bottom. Then I will Birthing Ritual. And I will sacrifice the Riddler. I want another Riddler. No, I think I'm just going to get the initiative creature here. This allows me to hit my next land drop as well. Now, our Quantum Riddler is in our graveyard. We don't get to play this again on a later turn, but we did something pretty sweet with it. Glimmer Post. We are up to big mana already. Hate that I'm losing that creature. So that is occurring. However, I do get to Force of Will the Ugin, and then hopefully do something kind of silly. We will Lost Well here. Forest can go away. Undermountain Adventurer is fine. I'll take that. So we will go Warp you. This turn's going to be sweet. Move to end step. Put the Warp on bottom. Birthing Ritual. Oh yeah. Sacrifice the creature. I'm going to put Harbinger of the Seas into play. Now, I get to draw a card, and I will put an Undermountain Adventurer into play. I will take the initiative again, and go to stash. So now, in a way that could not really be responded to, I just took away a large amount of mana from my opponent. My opponent is tapping these for 1. I mean, the One Ring is a pretty damn good card. But I could even just take your One Ring. That's on the table as something that could happen. So Catacombs, I get a 4/1 creature. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Oh, man. What if was mine, though? And this is gain control of target permanent. I don't have to keep the Agent of Treachery around. So, Birthing Ritual. A new Undermountain Adventurer? Sure. I'll sacrifice this one, turn it into Undermountain Adventurer, and then I get to Throne of the Dead 3 now. Second Harbinger of the Seas, Glen Elandra. 3, 4, 5, 9, 10, 11. Probably not adding that much power to the board all at the same time. So let's get Glen Elandra. Urza's Tower. I mean, yeah, that's pretty good. I don't have the untapped blue mana right now to stop that. So you get your card and a turn of fog. But this is pretty sweet. So I will pick up, honestly, these are all blue, so I'll pick up the forest, I guess. Lose 1. That's another Birthing Ritual. Draw a couple of cards. So let's go green mana, blue, green, I think, and green. Shardless Agent, cascade into a Birthing Ritual. My opponent has 1 ring protection. Oh, right. Forgot about that part. I have completed a dungeon, so I do get to add a full 6 mana here. So, now I have 3 Birthing Rituals at end of turn. Hello and good luck, opponent. Quantum Riddler seems fine. Let's sack a 3-drop like Shardless Agent there. Oh, shit. Wait, what just happened? Oh, it's +1. Whoops. Wood Elves. I had it in my head that that was a +2. Just turn Wood Elves into Wood Elves. Yeah. And then this time I'll get a Tropical Island. Consecrated Sphinx is hilarious. Curator of Destiny is a thing. Alright, so I need a 5-drop or more. I'll sacrifice the Agent of Treachery or the Consecrated Sphinx. So now I have Glen Elandra available with the ability to draw a few cards. Oh yeah, I would like to use that ability. Force of Will, not hard castable right now, but, you know, unclear how much that matters. Alright, I did find a blue card. I guess I use Glen Elandra before I use a Force of Will anyway. Well, opponent had plenty of Cloud Posts, but they are not doing what my opponent would like them to do as of right now. Seems like my opponent is fully just passing the turn here. So, we're now at Forge. I'll Forge. You tap for so much mana, I'm probably not sacrificing you. Lose to Quantum Riddler. I'm fine just warping that in with the intention of sacrificing it. Draw a card. There's a Shardless Agent. That's another Birthing Ritual. I don't think I need that. So I'll play a land. I'll go to combat. I'll see how much damage I'm doing, and then I'll figure out everything else from there. Oh wait, I think this is just lethal. Opponent sacrifices with Expedition Map. Getting an Otawara. Sure. Bouncing Glen Elandra. Okay. Opponent is at 4 life. There's 6 mana. 1 blue. Glen Elandra comes back. There's a Wood Elves. Get another Tropical Island into play. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That's a Hardcast Force of Will, a Glen Elandra activation, and a Pitchcast Force of Will. I think we'll call that good there. Riddler trigger on the bottom. And we do this cool thing. What do? You're the Fact or Fiction one? Sure. Does my opponent have a 1 ring? This takes creatures only. Regardless, I think I will sacrifice the Riddler, or it's going anyway. I think I'm just going to take. I don't want to bounce my opponent's One Ring. Or do I? I can just counter it. Yeah, sure. So I will bounce a One Ring. I don't need to bounce any of my stuff. I could have taken it. So I will sack a Wood Elves here, turn it into a Shardless Agent. No cards left. Oh, I think I just did one click too many. I don't know what I'm looking at there. I'm just going to say no to that one. I've got enough value. I suppose decking myself theoretically could be a concern, but I can't think of a way for my opponent to win this one. A Dress Down. What if not, though? So I persist. I counter the Dress Down. Disruptor Flute. You know, honestly, I'm just going to counter it. Good enough. Overwhelming board presence. So Birthing Ritual is pretty sweet. Inevitable Betrayal. That is Emrakul. Emrakul might be better than Dirtling. Unclear. Oh no. Inevitable Betrayal. Alright, get off the screen. Get off the screen. Go away. I need the Force of Negations that are under this. We'll work around it. Now I just can't see cards that I want to board out. Presumably some of this top end gets a lot worse without Birthing Ritual, but I don't need to board out all that many cards. There's a submit button here somewhere. I think I have hit it. Alright, Inevitable Betrayal is still here. Cool. Alright, it's figured itself out. This is fine. I have a Force of Negation for the first One Ring-like card that my opponent plays, and I technically... Grafdigger's Cage. Got a Brazen Borrower, if I care about that later. Yeah, that's fine. Ooh, that's turn 2 Harbinger then. Surveil Land, you can go into Graveyard for sure. I think Force of Negation is currently pitching Agent of Treachery. Wow, Underground Sea. Unexpected land. Okay, we need to get rid of that Grafdigger's Cage in the medium term. Pay 3 life. Here's Harbinger of the Seas, which hopefully it doesn't just eat a Dismember immediately, because I can't protect it via Force of Negation on my own turn. Orion Revealed is fine for a basic island, and my Harbinger is in play. That's mostly great. I'm gonna say no to that. So since my Harbinger is alive, my Shardless Agent is not castable, but a different plan of beat you to death with three power flyers is emerging. Another stock up. I think I'm just going to resolve a creature in response. And then you can stock up. And hopefully I just hit for 5, then 8, then 8, and the game is over. Another Planar Nexus comes down. Quantum Riddler. Send it. Opponent's at 13. I could take a redraw here. I think a redraw is worse than just casting another 3 power flyer. That's the One Ring. That's happening. And I think, again, I'm just going to resolve another creature here before my opponent draws extra cards. Thinking the Stupor played out as a land. Notably, that would have been a way to get Harbinger of the Seas out of play. Now, that's kind of an awkward draw. That's not really what I wanted. I will cycle one of these. Draw a card. Wood Elves is not what I am looking for. I have a bunch of cards that are stuck in my hand here. Protection means I'm not doing anything cool, and Quantum Riddler goes away. Harbinger of the Seas may be backfiring here. Hard to tell, like, how much my opponent is holding back in terms of what lands are in their hand. But I am like one Dismember away from things potentially getting pretty ugly. Alright, Portent of Calamity. What are we looking at? Sure. Stock up Cloudpost Expedition map. There's the map. So I get a land drop here, but I think I'm going to just do this first. Got stuff that I would really like to get out of my hand, and I'm not doing a very good job of it. I am whacking for a decent amount of damage here, but my opponent is reaching the point where they can just hardcast an Ugin by tapping 7 lands. They are at 2. This is the defining turn of this game where they either turn the corner or die to either my cards or their own card. So, fingers crossed. Otawara a Harbinger. That gives my opponent 4 mana. They could cast a new One Ring. It must not be that easy. They're in the tank. Oh, I don't know what outs they're on if they have to cast a stock up there. Okay, Glimmer Post is 4 life. That's 6 on board still, so there has to be something more. Dismember doesn't do it. We've gotten the GGs. Opponent was doing a really good job of wiggling and trying to play to their outs there. This is a fine opening hand. I am fine with keeping this. A counterspell's pretty good against me. A wasteland's pretty good against me. That's totally solid. Yeah, that goes to graveyard. That is not doing me any favors in hand. Again, it's kind of scary putting these big things into graveyard in the Entomb Reanimate world. Opponent is an Underground Sea gamer, but they pass the turn. Birthing Ritual is my draw. That's a fine magic card. So this is in no way super likely to resolve, as Daze and Force of Will both get it. But if I get the Shardless Agent into play, even if the Birthing Ritual doesn't resolve, I just play another Birthing Ritual next turn, and it ends up being okay overall. Oh, it does resolve. So I'm doing my thing. Yeah. Sack the Shardless Agent. I'm doing Harbinger of the Seas here. Like, Undermountain Adventurer is cool and all, but could be very bad versus Orcish Bowmasters. I'm just going to shut off my opponent's black mana. Like, good luck. And there's no window to respond to that. This is the pause of someone who is upset. Lotus Petal resolves. That is inconvenient for me. Alright, it's in play. I could potentially steal that Lotus Petal. Opponent is a second main phase hipster. They just sacked their Lotus Petal for blue? These are islands. This isn't Blood Moon. This is Harbinger of the Seas. And that was a shuffle. Alright, cool. So, given what I'm seeing here, I probably don't have to worry about a Harbinger of the Seas attack. Sorry, a flash creature coming in to block this attack. I think I just cast this as a creature rather than hold up Sink into Stupor, so that I can chain Birthing Ritual stuff together. I don't think a 2/2 clock is enough here versus whichever combo deck my opponent is playing. Yeah, this is fine. So, sack Brazen Borrower, pick up a Wood Elves. Wood Elves will get me a Forest card. I think will just be an actual factual basic forest. Now from here for every turn after this one, I think I can safely Sink into Stupor. Hold up Sink into Stupor. Another Underground Sea. Another Lotus Petal. That is just a hard cast Thassa's Oracle. That one's not winning the game. Onder is fine. Opponent essentially needs Dark Ritual and Doomsday. I don't think they are going to get to triple Lotus Petal and or other thing. So I could go 1, 2, 3, Wood Elves, have the land untapped, make a land drop, but then the Sink into Stupor is not in my hand anymore. So I think I'll just pass the turn and Birthing Ritual while holding up Sink into Stupor. And assume that I grind out disgusting value. Sure. I'll sack the Wood Elves. I'll get another Harbinger of the Seas in case there's a removal spell. That is black mana for a Goyf. I probably just outvalue that, but I'm fine doing this. It has cost my opponent another one of their very precious Lotus Petals to do that. Yeah, this is fine. So my opponent has a 4/5 creature. I don't think that's actually a problem. Agent into Birthing Ritual? Nah, maybe Wood Elves into Birthing Ritual, actually. Because that hits me another land drop that works towards casting this. Get Tropical Island, that's into play. Get Birthing Ritual. Daze, that's fine. I do just have a Birthing Ritual in play already. Sure, this is fine. Sacrifice Wood Elves. Get Undermountain Adventurer. I believe I have one last basic land. 2. And next turn, I can cast an Agent of Treachery and take the Goyf. Onder is fine. Cameo is fine. The card advantage means a lot less if my opponent can't use most of their cards. Alright, the Goyf crashes in. I will just block here. That's totally fine. And if I can play Agent of Treachery around days, I don't think I have much to worry about. Forge is fine. Forge here. Consecrated Sphinx is cool too. Punchies with my Vigilant creature. Opponent takes 5. 2, 4, 5, 6, and 7 around 8 days. I am going to gain control of the Goyf. Birthing Ritual happens. Nice. I'll sack the Agent of Treachery. I will get Sower of Temptation. I will Sower of Temptation and take your Tamiyo. Look at me. I'm the Tempo Doomsday deck now. This is so great. So, what is my plan? Bring in Endurance and Force of Negation, figure the rest out later, I think is the answer. Do I want Carpet of Flowers to just accelerate into my cards? Maybe. The Birthing Ritual stuff seems kind of important towards beating the fair things like Goyfs and Murktides. Otherwise, I'm not the biggest fan of them. I think I'm going to get rid of Sower of Temptation. Might go down on these. Are the Brazen Borrowers enough? Can I like get away with not doing this stuff? Like cut the top end, keep this, get rid of Birthing Ritual, play Carpet of Flowers, and just intend on playing a relatively fair control game. Oh, I don't have a lot of time here. I think I need this stuff, at least some of it. Shoot. So we're out. Some number of Wood Elves can go. 14 seconds. We're playing 61. This hand has a Force of Will to stop a Doomsday, but kind of doesn't do anything. I think I'm better off mulliganing. This is an unexciting hand that I will probably keep. It has a Force of Negation for a Doomsday and an initiative creature. Resolves. Force of Will, probably the name in the dark here. And I'm correct. Wrong force. Ooh, nice. I will Hedge Maze. I'm just gonna take that. I think I just want to be able to use force effects 2 turns in a row. And now I wouldn't feel too bad about using a force on a scary creature. Polluted Delta comes down. Yeah, I think I just say no. With a Force of Will on top, I think I am comfortable doing that. Tamiyo's busted. Grafdigger's Cage is fine. Where did we land on Birthing Ritual? In. Maybe it should be out for the next game then. No, my opponent is doing Cage. Drop and pass. So this is a potential Doomsday turn. My opponent knows that I have a Force of Negation, and they know 2 of the cards in my hand, I think. Yours is fine. They're saying no to a Force of Negation. I have a new Force of Negation. Awkward for Cabal Therapy, otherwise is fine. This is Dazable. I think I'm going to do it anyway. Nice. For Harbinger of the Seas, specifically, the basic forest is nice. I think I will take it, and I've already made my land drop, so I'm passing the turn here. Land drop 4 for my opponent. Brainstorm's fine. Fetch, declare, and opponent just passes. That's all great. I am interested in going aggro on the left-hand side, even if a removal spell does end up killing this creature. It does not happen, which is awesome for me. This is so much damage versus a deck that might be having its own life total. Opponent is at 12. So now I have 2, 4, 5, 6, and 7. I can't hardcast both Force of Negations in the same turn, but I can do one of them. That's another land drop. Probably not what my opponent is looking for. Fatal Push. We're going to say no to that. I guess I don't need to tap it itself here. I can't hardcast another counter anyway. 5 plus 5, leaving opponent at 1. Seems good. And that is the concession there. GG's. Deck is sweet. Opening hand is a full house, and while that's not bad in poker, here it's pretty questionable. I can have a turn 2 Undermountain Adventurer if I spike a mana source. I think I would rather just mulligan. This is gaming. I am going to keep it. I think I get rid of the second Undermountain Adventurer and go Tropical Island pass here. Opponent has Windswept Heath. That's not a basic land. That is a mana dork, though. Either way I play this out, I think this is pretty awkward. I think my line is play out Harbinger of the Seas. Maybe it eats my opponent's removal spell, and after this is gone, I play this. I am too worried about playing Undermountain Adventurer, and my opponent just goes Swords to Plowshares or Solitude, remove Harbinger of the Seas, or sorry, remove Undermountain Adventurer, crash in, they have the initiative, and I can't contest it. That is a Springheart and Tucko. You've got it. Well, I guess now we're doing this. That was a pretty good draw on my end. This gets me the basic forest to make my other cards castable. And I'm going to hold both bodies back. Things can definitely get a little weird with my opponent copying this and like multiple exalted creatures allowing my opponent to attack into Undermountain Adventurer safely. Trigger. Just going for the insect. Green Sun for 3. Wrist. Nah. Alright. So this is horrifying. I don't think I'm beaten down here. I think this is try to find a good castable spell. I mean, sure. Not quite what I had in mind. Do I attack with this creature? Does my opponent block? My opponent could just bounce with Nadu and maybe make that even worse for me. All right. So there's Forest. 2, 3, 4, 5. I will just full on cast the Quantum Riddler. I will draw a card. Oh my gosh, hey look, it was 2 cards instead of 1 card. Isn't that neat? And then the hope is that I get multiple Quantum Riddlers going before that shit happens. So my opponent can now do this 10 times on their turn, 10 times on my turn. It is unclear to me whether or not this actually wins them the game through Harbinger of the Seas and my multiple Quantum Riddlers. With the Springheart, it probably does. What's an Elvish Herder? Oh, that's just the one that gives trample. Sure. I don't know if this beats me. Probably does. I think it probably does. I'm not gonna sit through it. I don't really have removal to speak of. I just steal stuff. I think I'm just playing the game 1 deck again. Endurance could do some things. It's a decent sized body that blocks a Nadu. But I do just have other flyers in the deck already. My hand here is a little slow. I don't think it's worth mulliganing, but my opponent's deck, I think, is pretty capable of beating this hand. It goes crazy starting on turn 3. Just Shardless Agent into Birthing Ritual, into Undermountain Adventurer, or Warped Anticausal Vestige afterwards. And if I were to draw a Spirit Guide, it would get even better. And we'll just see whether or not this is fast enough. I might consider mulliganing this one on the draw. Allosaurus Shepherd is not going to be my opponent's first play. Harbinger of the Seas, sure. I'll just pass the turn here. Opponent's got another land drop. Now their stuff's uncounterable. So the hypothetical Force of Will is not good anymore. And Keen-Eyed Curator, that's fine. So, let the games begin. There's the Birthing Ritual. Let's see what happens with it. Yeah, this is fine. I can't bridge into Quantum Riddler, but I am fine taking an Elvish Spirit Guide out of my deck so that I don't draw that later. Ooh, Cradle is a big burst of mana. That is scary. Yep, that's fine. I guess that's 2 card types for Keen-Eyed Curator. Maybe that is enough of a reason to not make the play that I did. Sure. That is a 7/7 instantly. But what if I just steal that 7/7 and then I look like a genius? I will take that damage. It'll be 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 if I need it. Sink into Stupor on Keen-Eyed Curator is interesting. I think I'm not doing that. I think I'm doing this. Warp this card in. Put that trigger on bottom. Birthing Ritual, yes. Sacrifice this. Get the Consecrated Sphinx. So then this happens. I will put Initiative Creature into play still. The Initiative subgame is a little rough at 9 life here. Really wanted to hit a thing that stole that. Could just be Harbinger of the Seas. Ooh, it's a Swords before I get to do anything else. That sort of thing is why I didn't go for the Initiative Creature immediately. But this is pretty bad. Like, I will just die to fair stuff. This is 10 damage, and this tramples. I'll take all the damage. I'm at 3. So it seems to me like the line is do this, get a land, play a land, play a birthing ritual, and hope for the best. So I will turn Spirit Guide into Wood Elves. I didn't have a big enough thing to get Agent of Treachery there, unfortunately. And with this second one, I can go up to 5. It doesn't bridge me into the biggest stuff here. I think that'll do. We got Nadude. GG. Okay, this opening hand has 2 fully unplayable cards in my first play as a turn 3 Harbinger of the Seas. I don't think this is good enough. This is fine. I'm going to put a Birthing Ritual back in the deck because I effectively have a ton of copies of that already. Wooded Foothills. Taiga. Hierarch. Maybe Food Chain Goblins? Hedge Maze is an okay pickup here. I think I am willing to play that. Not interested in drawing that card. Shifting Woodland. Interesting. What are we looking at here? A lot of land. Opponent takes a Wooded Foothills and an honest-to-goodness Sylvan Library. You've got it. That is a lot of Shardless Agent. I don't need to take Ancient Tomb damage here. Let's just Shardless Agent into a Birthing Ritual. Then start trying to get my value. Harbinger of the Seas? Sure. Sacrifice. Make my opponent's mana worse. They've got Sylvan Library to help find something reasonable, and they still have access to some colored mana. But my opponent's lands are not making the colors they would like them to. Galvanic Discharge. You've got it. I don't actually care about this body all that much. My opponent can now fetch a basic. 1, 2, 3, and 4. That doesn't change anything for me. So I will just Shardless Agent into another one of these. Yeah. And if opponent has a removal spell, this is a great time to fire it off before I start doing Birthing Ritual crimes. At the very least, they're going to fetch and get a basic land. Yep. Seek the Beast. A Squee? Yeah, okay. Food Chain Goblins. Yep, so this is fine. Sacrifice Shardless Agent. Get a Wood Elves. Wood Elves trigger. Hedge Maze is fine. Hedge Maze is fine. I'll Surveil. Undermountain Adventurer is a reasonable hit here. So, sacrifice Wood Elves. Get Undermountain Adventurer. Take the initiative. This gets me a basic forest out of my deck as well. I'm not going to narrate every Sylvan Library trigger, but know that it is happening, and I'll point it out if my opponent loses life for it. And my opponent does lose some life, and then drop a Boseiju into play. So here is a food chain. So if you're not familiar with this one, my opponent can exile a creature they control, add X plus 1 mana of any one color, where X is 1 plus the exiled creature's mana value. And you can only use this mana to cast creature spells. So this can then go infinite with something like Squee, where you can cast it from your graveyard or exile. So the food chain type cards tend to work well with these like Squee and Miss Hollow Griffins, and then there's a colorless creature that does it as well. The name is escaping me at the moment. So my opponent is pitch casting an Endurance here, and this is just going to work as a ritual. So my opponent will sack this with the evoke trigger on the stack for a bunch of mana, and then they've got Squee. So now they can start looping Squee and Food Chain, but they've only got one card left in hand. So that last card is going to need to be a banger. Okay, looks like opponent doesn't have a kill, but they've got a questing druid. So they can do something kind of neat here, where each time they cast Squee, they can grow the questing druid. So they generate an infinite-sized creature, or however many clicks they want it to be. I was gonna get up to get some water, but then they made a play that was relevant. They have a Fury to take out my creature here. And we'll see if they call that good enough. Nope, they're gonna keep going. I'm gonna go get my water. Alright, my opponent is gonna attack me for 1 after growing it, so that questing druid is a lethal-sized threat on its own. And I need my Shardless Agent and Birthing Ritual things to kind of go wild here. 6 mana. 6 mana is not bad. Blue, 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 green, 2. Blue, blue, 1 floating. Take that out. It'll come back next turn and do the same thing, but this at least gives me some time. Now, hopefully I chain these together in a way that's super cool and fun. First one. Yeah? I think I do this to take the initiative back. I'll go for the bigger body. It might be relevant with a 3/3 double striker on the other side of the battlefield. I don't think I take away the 5/6 body for any of that. Say no to that one. Then I can go 4 to 5. What about Sower? Sower just results in my opponent exiling one of their creatures. And that doesn't bring me up the chain at all. I'll keep my 5/6 creature. Opponent's going to take some life loss. A lot of life loss here, actually. Which is probably fine. Like, I do expect to fully just die this turn. Immune with the Gods. Let's reveal the top 5 for a creature or enchantment. Or they picked Imperial Recruiter. Oh, Imperial Recruiter is going to go crazy. I believe Imperial Recruiter results in me being dead. I imagine that just gets like a Walking Ballista and I die. So there's the Recruiter. There's a Walking Ballista. And I'm not going to sit through that. I'm not going to try to just time my opponent out here. I can see the onboard win. GG. Needed just a little bit more time. So, Electro Oof technically does some things versus Walking Ballista. I don't know that I'm actually going to play it, though. I think I'm just interested in the game 1 deck, more or less, as it is. I could play some additional copies of Endurance. I think this is fine. This is an okay opening hand. It's slow. Double tapped land, meaning that I can't Birthing Ritual into use it the following turn, might just mean that this is a mulligan. I think that does mean that. Oh, this is fine. Tapped land, Ancient Tomb, plus Spirit Guide, Undermountain Adventurer on turn 2. I think that means I throw back secondary Ancient Tomb for fair life loss reasons. I don't think I need the second Ancient Tomb to get me to Consecrated Sphinx. So I will Surveil. I don't need that land if Undermountain Adventurer is going to get me an island. Opponent fetches. Dropping a basic land and playing a good old goblin. So I will now start this sub-game. And we have drawn another soul land to bridge to Consecrated Sphinx if I don't draw anything else. But this does also just tap for 2 mana. So, you know, don't think we need the soul land. But, you know, sometimes this eats a removal spell. It's a 3/4, so it lives through Galvanic Discharge and Lightning Bolt style effects right now. Opponent fetches. Getting another basic. There is an Unstable Amulet. So my opponent gets some energy, and this can be a combo piece with Food Chain. If you assemble Food Chain plus Squee, you are casting spells from exile, and that can end up pinging you. So I will go to Forge. Make this creature harder to take out in combat. Hit for a little bit more. Okay. Opponent has a Misty Rainforest under there. And a Galvanic Discharge. Okay. Opponent says, whoops, not like this. Yeah. The opponent has 3, which means that that didn't do what they wanted. My opponent paid 2 to activate the Unstable Amulet. This is going to put them in a very bad spot, because I get to hit them 4/5, put them to 13, and then just fucking cast a Consecrated Sphinx on turn 3 in Legacy, as one does. That was a rough mistake, because that would have kept the Consecrated Sphinx from coming down, and my turn would have just been Surveil. Let's see what my opponent's got. They are facing down 9 damage plus trap. Alright, they're exiling a new card. It is a Force of Vigor. That's a great card for Birthing Ritual. Malevolent Rumble. Foundation Breaker. The food chain, I imagine, is the best thing there. But I don't know the contents of my opponent's hand. Yes, my opponent does choose food chain. There's a new Hierarch. I will trap my opponent, lowering their life total. I'm going to hit them for 4 in the air and cause them to chump block once. Let's get that out of the way. And then I'll figure out what the rest of the turn looks like. Yep. Opponent's at 3. I have 2, 4, 5, 6, potentially 8 mana to work with. Kind of 9 if you squint at it funny. I think I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and 4. Play Undermountain Adventurer, because this is going to cantrip off of Archives. Draw my card. Nice. I'm going to assume that whatever happens off Throne of the Dead 3 is better than Sower of Temptation to deny a little bit of mana. We are completing the Undercity on turn 4. This bounce 2 permanents. Bouncing 2 permanents is pretty great. Let's do that. I think I just bounce both of my opponent's creatures. That makes the food chain worse. This thing's huge. I'll draw some extra cards. And my opponent is dead. I don't know what the remainder of their hand looks like, but it's very possible that if they don't fuck up that Galvanic Discharge, that they win this game. Like, I know that I was going crazy, but it could have gone much worse quickly. Collector Oof is worth thinking about again, I believe, but it's very awkward in the Shardless Agent deck. On the draw, I think it's reasonable to be thinking about some number of Force of Negations. It's just really important to stop the food chain itself, because I think I will normally beat my opponent's fair stuff. I'm going to trim that, turn it into a Force of Negation. I'm going to trim this, turn it into a Force of Negation, and my opponent is going to actively fetch around Harbinger of the Seas anyway. I think I'm just going to max out, reasonably speaking, on counterspells. My opponent's deck has a surprising amount of selection, given what kind of deck they are. I am comfortable keeping this. This is turn 2 Birthing Ritual, turn 3 Quantum Riddler, and go off. I have Force of Will to protect, and a tiny bit of selection. Birthing Ritual. I'm not in love with it. I'm going to keep it, because my opponent has actively shown me that they are playing Force of Vigor. And having a second wave by warping this and playing another Birthing Ritual is like totally reasonable. I don't love that, I'm not going to lie. That is a lot of cards over time if I don't pressure my opponent. I will Force of Will that, even though I really want to point that Force of Will at food chain specifically. So here we go. Malevolent Rumble. It's a Mawloc. Seen a Mawloc in a hot minute. What did my opponent just take? Oh, just the Wooded Foothills that they played. Reasonable. Initiative? Or this? I think I do the initiative creature first. This is better once my opponent has things in play that I can steal. Like an island. Alright, my Birthing Ritual is working. This would be taking me down the chain and shrinking my creature. I'm just going to say no to that. Opponent fetches and surveils. I believe I have now boarded out my Harbinger of the Seas, although this game they would be pretty darn good. That is a food chain that's in play. Sometimes I can just take that. Ooh. Alright. Let's see if I die. Fury's going to get converted into a ton of mana here. That's 6 mana. Imperial Recruiter. That gets Squee. I'll just ask them if they have a kill. They don't. My opponent has a Foundation Breaker for my Birthing Ritual. And I'll go to the Lost Well and try to figure out my life here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 mana. 2 for Birthing Ritual. I think my turn is probably Birthing Ritual and Quantum Riddler. If I play Wood Elves, I have 3 mana left afterwards. It's not the 4 that I need for Riddler and Birthing Ritual. I think I just say no to both of these. Force of Will is not great, but could become reasonable. So there's Warp. Wow, what a devastating final card. Okay, so I don't have enough mana to do that. I think in respect of the following turn, I will just play out the Birthing Ritual. But I am fully at the mercy of my opponent's top deck here. I'm taking 5 damage and my opponent takes the initiative. So this will kill me in about 2 turns from combat damage and or trap. Opponent's choice. Opponent has Malevolent Rumble. They're just getting an Ignoble Hierarch there. That's totally fine. Could have been way worse. So I guess I save this for Force of Will and warp this in. So warp trigger on bottom. Birthing Ritual. Okay. Sacrifice this. The Agent of Treachery makes my opponent lose a creature. Or I can draw a card. Or I can just take the initiative back. Not let my opponent work towards trap quite as quickly. Well, I guess that's going to be the same. Agent of Treachery and Undermountain Adventure both probably kill a creature, just in different ways. Agent of Treachery does not block a 4/4 creature. I think I'm going to take this, though, because it's better the next turn. It gained control of the food chain. If I block a creature, I am taking very close to lethal. I think I just have to take like a 2/2 here. And it would be super cool to hit an Undermountain Adventurer specifically off this draw. I don't. Yep, so my opponent exiles it, so they don't lose that. Initiative is scary. Oh shit, they didn't go to trap. That's so good for me, because I can Force of Will literally whatever they do. Yeah, because that would kill me with Food Chain Squee. So I will Force of Will that. I'm so glad they didn't go to trap. I've got a fighting chance in this game. So that is a 3/2 creature. This is from Graveyard or Exile. I can't actually block that if I want to use it to Birthing Ritual the next turn, so I will just take that damage. I'm at 4. Quantum Riddler, off the top, baby. Elvish Spirit Guide, we'll take it. Can I attack? I think I can attack. I'd be going to Stash or Arena. Yeah, I think I attack. Yeah, opponent's just going to hold. Makes sense. Cast. We'll see how good the top cards are. They are good. So do I want the Riddler? That is 2 cards. I think I do. Undermountain Adventurer is pretty good too. Riddler is just a draw 2 that also just blocks well. Okay. Sacrifice this. Pick up the Riddler. Draw 2. Wood Elves is fine. I assume opponent will keep going down the right side. I'm wrong. I'll force an attack with Spirit Guide. Another food chain is fine. That doesn't do anything. All right, cool. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. 2 life. Seems fine. It's fine. Ugh. So glad they didn't go to trap. There's Agent of Treachery. I'm going to... My own food chain is interesting, but I don't think good. I think I'm going to actually attempt to gain control of Squee. It's not going to work. But this means that my Elvish Spirit Guide lives. I think I send in with the extra body. I think this is an every point of damage matters situation. Am I going to Arena over Catacombs? I think I will go to Arena. Force the Recruiter to attack into my Agent of Treachery. Trigger. That's an Anticausal Vestige. This is also just a big body. I double bounce food chains out of play. Is any permanent? Yeah. Okay. I think to be extra safe, I junk the Riddler to do this and leave the extra creature back. I think I don't need the extra card draw with Archives and Throne this close. Yep. Okay. We is in play. I will Archives a Force of Will. Force of Will is pretty cool. Throne of the Dead 3 is also crazy. Can I pass that up? I think I don't use my mana and hold Force of Will up. I think I'll still attack with this body. Put my opponent to 7. There's a Quantum Riddler. I'll happily pick that up. Draw a card. Yeah, would not have hit a blue card to pair with Force of Will if I just went for like some random card draw off Throne of the Dead 3. The fear is now Pyroblast. I'm going to Force of Will that, because that gets rid of the creature side as well. And we got the GG from the opponent. Ooh. Hot damn. This was a fun league. Alrighty. Overall thoughts on the deck list. Well, I said in my little stinger for today that this was either going to be an insane league or a terrible league. And honestly, we landed on the side of insane. This deck is really, really sweet when it gets going. There's some little things that I probably could have sequenced better throughout the league that I am starting to see now that I have played this just a touch more, in terms of like what chains to what in terms of outs that I am playing towards. I am not surprised that this list made it into the 5-0 deck list dumps. This is objectively strong. I think it is a little slower than some other legacy decks, but damn, it is resilient, and with 8 effective copies of Birthing Ritual between Shardless Agent and Birthing Ritual itself, like, you're pretty good at getting your game going. The downside here is that you have a ton of cards that are bad in your opening hand, and a decent number of cards that are kind of embarrassing to be playing by legacy standards, and I'm going to include these in here as well, even though they did some really cool things off of Birthing Ritual. You have a ton of cards that you don't actively want to draw in this deck. So this is sweet. Would play this again in a heartbeat. I don't recommend this in a competitive setting, but this is one of the better FNM decks that we have seen on the channel this year. So like, this one gets my seal of approval for sure. And with that, it is well past my dinner time. I'm going to go scrounge up some dinner, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day. See ya!